of self-care.
She has a sign on her door, do not open until 11 a.m.
Checkout is at 9 a.m. in our house.
Next 5, Gabrielle Union.
We made it!
From The Perfect Find.
Your mommy, she's my boss.
Plus, Jason Alexander on Daytime's #1 talk show.
Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Somebody has to stand up for victims.
Detective Stabler, my partner, Detective Benson.
It took a lot of courage to get up on that stand.
She's not gonna ever be able to hurt you again.
I promise you, I'll protect you.
Weekdays at 12 p.m. You're watching WDAY Extra. Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. This is the Crashing the Show Together edition of Hot Mic. It's the 13th. Why wouldn't it be? Tuesday morning, June 13th, 2023. Glad to be here on a busy Tuesday. A lot happening. Got to fix the chair. Somebody was in the studio messing with stuff again. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic here on a Tuesday morning. The NBA season officially over. At least the Timberwolves have a de facto NBA champion, which we'll show you in a little bit. Anytime we have to crash the show together, when tape comes in, the guys are telling me at 8:58 we don't have a tape. I'm reminded how out of shape I am. All right, just get my breath together and we can do the show. Lots to get to today, including Bison basketball has added a big man, 6'10" guy out of the state of Nebraska. Interesting story on that, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. We're going to show you the most bizarre way to get to the College World Series. Yesterday, we showed, obviously, how Oral Roberts advanced. The field is now filled out. And the most unlikely of ways to win and to lose. I mean, it's one thing to celebrate the team that won. It's another to commiserate about how this team lost. If you haven't seen that, we'll show you that in just a little bit. Let's start, though, with the big news. As we had told you yesterday, and we've been following for a bit, that the potential on a Grant Nelson destination was imminent. Yesterday, report came out from On3 News. They follow transfer portal movement, that Grant Nelson had made his decision and was going to transfer to the University of Alabama. Now, we have, on this end, not independently confirmed that. The sources that I have spoken with said that that is not accurate as of now. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. What I was told is wasn't sure where that report came from. The actual verbiage, just so I make sure everybody understands, is that not a done deal on Grant Nelson to Alabama. Not sure where that came from. Now, again, let me reiterate that it's not that he couldn't go there, because I think Alabama fans were already up in arms on me on social media that this was a Homer report or don't know what I'm talking about. I trust my sources implicitly on this. Now, again, it doesn't mean that this isn't going to happen, but It hasn't happened yet. The Nelson camp has not confirmed nor denied it, but that is the potential destination. I've been told that this is going to happen maybe as early as today. There was some sentiment that Grant wanted to put this out there on his own, and it got leaked before he got the chance to announce it. I can see that. These kind of stories with this kind of potential of a player have that tendency sometimes to get out there before the subject wants it out. So that is the update there. Now, let's give you a little background on Alabama, which was the number one ranked team for a majority of this past season. They were a number one seed in the NCAA basketball tournament. We know the off-the-court issues, and issues is such a trite way to say it. They had a player that is charged with murder this past offseason, or the past basketball season. Their standout player, Brandon Miller, was reportedly there as well. Miller, who's going to be a top NBA draft pick next week. Nate Oates is their head coach. We got a little info here to show you on what they do and what they have. 31-6 this past season. Oates about to start his fifth year as the head coach there. 16-2 in SEC play. You see the guys they have back. They are adding two players, high school players-wise, that are coming in. They are adding two players before Grant in the transfer portal. But they are expected to be very good again and contend in the SEC, much like they did this past season. Now, after everything that happened off the floor, their season, I don't know if derailed is the right way to say it, but clearly they were affected. Clearly they did not play as well as they were before all this went down, especially the news on Brandon Miller. Now, this is a school that clearly Grant believes, if this ends up being the final destination, that he can excel at, get his necessary experience at, and then move on to the NBA. I know that this was the first stop Tuscaloosa was before Fayetteville last week. So I know as we visited last week that they really wanted him in Arkansas, but clearly, and I've been told as well that Arkansas has pivoted to another player or other players in light of this. So again, just to reiterate, several reports out there that he has told Alabama that he's coming there. We have not been independently able to confirm that. Again, things are looking likely that it can go there, but no decision yet. When I checked in on this on Sunday, I was told that things are moving well. Hope to have a decision by the end of the week. I think that's what we even talked about on the show yesterday. And clearly that is not going to make it all the way to Friday. For Alabama, their great season ended in the Sweet 16. They lost, of course, to San Diego State, who went on and played for the national championship, won the national championship. So that's where they beat Corpus Christi and Maryland in the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament before they had their season end, which was way early. They were expecting Final Four at worst after the kind of season they had. So it's SEC, it looks like, and for those of us that have followed this story for the better part now of 4 months, to see where things have took off to now, it is quite the potential endgame. And now we await word whenever this becomes official. Again, not saying it's not going to be Alabama. We just have independently been able to confirm that that's where it's going to happen for Grant Nelson. And if that's the case, they are, again, expected to be one of the better teams in the whole country. We're not talking better teams in the SEC. We're talking one of the best teams in all of college basketball for 23-24, which means top-line competition, which means playing on national television almost every game, which I think for the NBA scouts, that's what they're looking for, top-line competition every night, as opposed to dominating, going for 25 and 12 in the Summit League. That was not going to help his draft status. And I will throw this one caveat out before we move on, because I know there are some still that despise what the portal is, what it stands for, and everything that it's become. I will throw you the story yesterday as I was wrapping up before heading home yesterday. Story that came out of Norman, Oklahoma, that the softball champions, Oklahoma, winners of 53 in a row, just won their third straight national championship. Their star pitcher, Jordy Ball, who pitched them to the national title, announced she was going in the portal, wanting to get closer to home, which means she's going to Nebraska. That's where she's from. She's from Omaha. Like, this is a monumental move. This is not a run-of-the-mill player. So if a player of that caliber wants to go, then there's no stopping anyone. You know, like these fans that still come at me and say, well, we could have done this, and what's happening? The coaching staff can't convince players to stay. It's got to be something rotten with the coaches. This is the best player on the best team leaving. Now, you can lament that all you want, but I can't imagine there was some underlying condition other than the fact that she wants to get closer to home. She did everything that she could. She was the most outstanding player of the tournament, won the national championship. Okay? I don't know what else is there under the sun. And maybe that's another reason to go. You've done everything here. Now maybe go and play at home. So, because I had all these fans, I'm going to blame it on Bison fans and especially the loud ones, the loud minority that come at me when we hear these stories about players like, wow, it's going to be a rotten locker room. And what's the culture like? If players want to go, they're going to go. And it ranges from some that are getting terrible information that believe that they aren't being utilized to the best of their ability to the very best in said sport and wanting a new scenery, a change of environment. And maybe there's something else on the Jordy Ball story. As far as I can tell, and for everybody that's written about it and spoken about it, this is, and she even, when she put it out, that she wanted to go somewhere close to home, which we're trying to put two and two together here. That's likely meaning it's going to be Oklahoma. So I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that on the light of the Grant Nelson story and other transfer stories that we have discussed on this program, because often, I would say more often than not, I hear, well, it's got to be something wrong with the coaches and the staff and something like it's not that. This is the story out of our friends at KLKN in Lincoln, ABC affiliate there. She's from Papillion La Vista, which is right in Omaha. Announced on Twitter Monday afternoon she plans to, quote, return home. Spent the last two seasons at Oklahoma, went 44-2 on the mound, and won back-to-back national championships. The outstanding player of the College World Series. Says, I'm excited to return home and be Jordan Ball, the softball player, but more importantly, the person. I'm excited thinking about growing the game that has provided me so many opportunities for growth in the home state, a current overlooked state for girls softball of all ages, and excited to finish the softball journey right where it began. She's yet to announce what school she'll be attending. I don't think it's going to be Omaha. I don't think she's coming to the Summit League. But that, again, I want that out there just so people can wrap that in their minds on it, okay? Some just want either a new experience or done everything. It's not always that something's rotten. Just wanted to throw some perspective on that. Before we wrap up our opening segment, as I mentioned off the top, the NBA season is now over. The Denver Nuggets completed a remarkable run last night as they eliminated the Miami Heat in Game 5, a game that played out heading into the fourth quarter. Miami actually had the lead. They were up 10 early in this game, but as happened majority of this series, Denver had counterpunch after counterpunch. You see the big Jamal Murray 3 there. They had no answer all series long, as we thought, for Nikola Jokic, who I think cemented himself as, if he's not the best player in the league, it's got to be 1B right now. And Murray's not that far down the list, and we can get into the Jamal Murray debate with Wolves fans here in a second. Floater there from Jokic, put him up by 7. They were starting to pull away here before Jimmy Butler arrived, and he was as quiet as can be. And it seemed to me Miami finally ran out of gas after what they had done. This was as controversial as you can get, and thankfully Denver won, because this was called a foul on Denver. They actually reviewed it and kept the call. There's no foul there. If anything, it's a foul on Butler for kicking Aaron Gordon in the man zone. Jamal Murray had the reaction all of us did when we were watching the game. That floater there from Butler gave Miami the lead with 2.5 minutes to go, but that was the last time they would lead, because, again, they had no answer for Jokic, who drives and scores. Murray, this is a tough shot, but Bruce Brown, who was the star in Game 4 on Friday, swoops in for the offensive putback. This was the play of the game. Butler had a chance here, but he turned the ball over as Denver came up with the steal there with 30 seconds to go. I'm not quite sure why he didn't go up with it, but Murray and Jokic were there. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP comes up with the steal. They had one other chance here, down 3 with just under 20 seconds to go. Again, they didn't need a 3 there. They could have got a quick 2. That shot from Butler missed. And the Denver Nuggets have won their first NBA championship. 47 years at NBA franchise, and they win the title, 94-89, the final, over the Miami Heat to win the series, 4-1. Jokic named NBA Finals MVP, pretty much did the trifecta there. 28 points, 16 rebounds on the clincher to go on top of his 2-time regular season MVPs that he has. 10 triple-doubles in a single postseason for Jokic. That's about as good as you can get. And for the Heat, as I mentioned this, I think they may have ran out of gas. You know, they did this against Milwaukee, where they routed the Bucks. They beat the Knicks in 6. They beat the Celtics in 7, overcame maybe the single greatest finish in NBA playoff history with Boston's literal win with 1/10 of a second left in Game 6, and then went to Boston and won in Game 7. You got to salute the Heat, but this is the Nuggets' time. And they were the best team during the regular season, and they dominated in the postseason. They lost 1 game to the Timberwolves. The fact that Minnesota got 1 on them is probably impressive. They lost 2 games to the Suns. They swept the Lakers and lost 1 game to the Heat. They went 16-4 in the NBA postseason. That is domination. That is impressive. And for Denver sports fans, pretty good run here. I guess I know who's running audio today. Michael Jeff says, I can't believe he came to work. I thought he'd be tipping cars over. With the Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup last year and the Nuggets winning the NBA championship. If the Rockies ever get good, look out. Look out. Who knows what could happen there? And now we wait. The draft is 9 days away. And I'll throw this nugget out because we hammer this on the Timberwolves for the 2009 NBA draft, which is the draft where the Wolves had 2 picks in the top 10 and took and they took 2 point guards. They took Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio and left Steph Curry sitting there on the board. Well, I will refer you to the draft not that long ago either, where in the first round of the NBA draft, the Wolves had the 5th overall pick. They selected Chris Dunn out of Providence with the 5th overall pick. Oh, gosh. That was the 2016 NBA draft. And after that, 2 picks later, the Denver Nuggets selected Jamal Murray from Kentucky. How'd that one work out? Man. That is the slim margin there from building a great team and then having what the Wolves have. And I just had this debate upstairs. Well, if they take Jamal Murray, they can't get Anthony Edwards. Okay. You know what? That means maybe they're better than what they are. Every time. Why can't the Wolves find players like him? We got a fun show coming up for you here on this Tuesday. 9:35, you'll meet one of I think he might be the tallest baseball player the North Dakota State has had, at least in the Division I area. Julien Hachem will join us, who's transferring from Oklahoma to pitch for the Bison next year. All of 6'8". He'll have 3 years of eligibility. He'll be stepping out of the Newman Outdoor Field mound next spring. We'll chat with him coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Moorhead, track record holder a couple times over. Michael Haugo will join us in studio after wrapping up his tremendous high school career for the Spuds. He will continue to run at North Dakota State next year. We'll ask him how close football was and who's the better athlete in the Haugo family. His cousin Peter has committed to play football for the Bison. We'll discuss that coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Fargo North-South girls hockey coach Parker Metz will join us after the announcement. We talked about it. We broke the story last week that the state hockey tournaments are returning to a combined format. His team, the Spruans, won the state championship last March in Minot in front of family and friends, basically, and now it's going back to a combined format. We'll visit with Parker about that and a few other things hockey-related. The hockey season could come to an end tonight in Vegas. The Golden Knights lead the Stanley Cup Final 3-1 over Florida, so we could have basketball and hockey being done on consecutive nights. We'll visit about that coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on our 2-hour tour. We'll take a break. We come back. The first commitment for Bison Hoops for 2024 is in, and he's a large one. We'll discuss that when Hot Mike returns. Congrats to the Nuggets. We're back after this.
You took my father. Somebody's going to pay for this.
There's no story more surprising than a real-life Dateline mystery.
Probably a pretty ugly crime scene.
Follow every twist and turn 5 times a week.
The chase is on.
With Dateline. Weekdays at 1 p.m.
In this job, you take your eye off it for 1 second. People can die.
Don't think, just do it.
I'm a firefighter, and I will always be a firefighter.
Did a great thing today.
It's all because of you.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. and 12:05 a.m.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in North Dakota. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the NDSSAA.
News happens at all hours of the day and night.
Stories develop and situations change in the blink of an eye.
In our community, knowing where you can turn at any time of the day
for clear information and facts
is more important today than at any other time.
That's why we start our day
in the middle of the night
to gather new information
and be ready to bring it to you.
Tracking what has changed overnight and how that will impact your day today.
We're here for you with the most up-to-date news and weather
to get you on your way,
because your community
is our community.
Overcoming drug addiction was difficult, but I found the path to recovery that worked for me. Treatment helped me come to terms with the issues in my life that caused me to use drugs. And I found better ways to cope. Learning I had a substance use disorder helped me realize I needed to make a change. The road to recovery is different for everyone. There were good days and bad days. But I found strength in seeking help. My friends and family made a huge difference in my recovery. I never gave up. I found my path, and I keep walking it every day. Find the path that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
911, what is your emergency?
It takes a certain kind of person to run towards danger rather than run away from it.
Why is this job so important to you?
Growing up, I never saw any heroes who looked like me.
And that's what a hero looks like.
Help is on the way.
Sundays at 8 p.m.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. He asked all his therapists to help him undertake some of the house chores. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hot Mike here on this Tuesday morning. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Forum.com. Lots to get to at our second hour of the show. Excited about that, including Moorhead's Michael Haugo joining us in studio. Okay, so 2 things to show you here, including, as we mentioned yesterday, we're starting the recruiting season, football and basketball. North Dakota State basketball has offered a couple of guys for the class of 2024 on the men's side, and they got a big one yesterday, literally a big one, late last night out of an area that they've had some good success, the state of Nebraska. Trayson Anderson from Lincoln announced his commitment to NDSU last night. 6'10". Yep, 6'10". Comes in from Pius X. That's the same high school that current Bison Sam Hostreiter played at. Got some video of him. He looks the part. Again, when you're 6'10", playing high school guys, averaged 15 points, 10 rebounds, had a major jump this past season. Went from averaging 4 points a game his sophomore year in 2022 to what he did last season. South Dakota State offered him last June, almost a year ago. Eric Henderson was in on him because Hendo's got the other Hostreiter. Jack plays for South Dakota State. Wyoming, where Mason Walters, Jamestown's own, just went, also offered. This was a impressive get for David Richmond. He's got guys out of Nebraska before. Jared Samuelson, you remember. Walk-on that turned into a 2-year starter out of Gretna, really good player. We know Sam Griesel out of Lincoln, who was an all-Summit League first-team player, was a dynamite player for the 4 years he played for the Bison. So Nebraska has been a lucrative state for NDSU to get guys out of. We'll see with this young man. I mean, I'm expecting we'll visit with him tomorrow or today, that you'll hear from him tomorrow on our show. And this is the first commit. Now, NDSU's got a couple other scholarships here to play with for 2024. This is a big piece. The other one that they're hoping on is a legacy commit who's tearing it up. We've talked about him before. Minnetonka's Andy Stefanowicz, whose dad, Rob, was a former Mr. Basketball out of Divide County. His mom is Jody Buck, one of the all-time great women's basketball players in North Dakota State history. So NDSU isn't banking on the fact that his parents are great Bison and can get him here. They're hoping, but remember, with Will Cheddar, same exact story there, that his parents were dynamite Bison athletes. Dad played football. Mom is one of the all-time great women's basketball players, and Will ended up going to Michigan. Now, I don't know Andy's ceiling. I know the Bison were in early, and sometimes that can help. So that's a big one there. And again, we'll have more on that. You can check out inforum.com right now for the breakdown on Trayson. And again, our hope is we're going to have him on the show tomorrow. Real quick before we wrap up this segment, we got to show you from the College World Series, or about the College World Series, the Super Regionals last night. Stanford and Texas were playing for a spot in Omaha. The game is tied at 6 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Stanford hitting where this ball, they think, the hitter does at least, that it leaves the yard. And it doesn't. If you look at it here, watch the replay. It's the top of the wall. Maybe it blended in with the logo because the hitter thought that that was a home run. And obviously it wasn't. And it turned out that that runner was even more important in the long-range view of it, because next hitter up, it's a pop-up here. It's just a pop-up, and no one can find the ball. And it drops, and the game-winning run will score. That is the way the Texas baseball season ends, on a pop fly. I mean, literally, it's a routine pop that should be caught. Nobody catches it. It falls in, and that ends up being the game-winning run. Think about that. That's how, if you're a Texas senior, that's your last baseball game. That's how your season ends. And if you're a Stanford player, and by the way, Stanford is now 10-0 over the last 2 years in the regionals and the supers and elimination games. Think of that. 10-0. You can't beat them. That's how you win the game. That is brutal. So Stanford completes the field of 8, joined by Tennessee, who won yesterday as well over Southern Miss. So there are 7 Power 5 schools, and then it's Oral Roberts that's there at the College World Series. And as the schedule came out late last night, Oral Roberts will play the first game of the College World Series on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. That game will be on ESPN to start the College World Series. 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. Oral Roberts, TCU to play, followed by Virginia and Florida. And then Saturday will be Stanford, Wake Forest, Tennessee, and LSU. You got an all-SEC matchup there as well. So what a way to end your season. Holy cow. We're due for a break. We come back. I didn't know he's coming. I thought he was in the woods. Mike McFeely will be in on his usual Tuesday time slot. I'm sure he's got some stuff to share, so he'll drop by. One Hot Mike returns right after this.
Stay prepared for the days and nights ahead with the best weather team. Download the Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Get alerts and updates straight from the WDAY Storm Tracker team. with accurate weather reports specific to your area. Just search WDAY in the Apple or Google Play Store. Download the Storm Tracker app and be ready to plan your day. The Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Download it today.
On the next Tamron Hall, they are the two biggest movies of the summer, from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Transformers Rise of the Beast. Actress Luna Lauren Velez joins the Tam Fam to talk about her big success. Then there seems to be no limit to Fortune Feimster's career, from crashing on a couch to headlining 2 major Netflix comedy specials and now an action star.
That was on me.
All on the next Tamron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m.
On the next Tamron Hall, they are the two biggest movies of the summer, from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Transformers Rise of the Beast. Actress Luna Lauren Velez joins the Tam Fam to talk about her big success. Then there seems to be no limit to Fortune Feimster's career, from crashing on a couch to headlining 2 major Netflix comedy specials and now an action star.
That was on me.
All on the next Tamron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so. Love me tender, love me dear, tell me you are mine. I'll be yours through all the years, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfilled. For my darling, I love you, and I always will.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. The truth is, Parkinson's disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them. Worldwide, over 10 million people are living with Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement. And with so many places to search for information, it can be difficult to know where to begin. The Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Answers for everyone in the fight. We can help you understand the disease, help you find expert care, give you tips for living a better life, share the latest research, help you find local support, and there's a free helpline you can call. Find your answers and join us in the fight against Parkinson's. To learn more, please go to parkinson.org or call 1-800-4PD-INFO. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, let's go. I didn't know he was going to be here today. Last I knew, you were like Chevy Chase in Lampoon's Vacation and wandering in the wilderness. You told me you were in the woods.
I took a day or two to just go sit in the woods by a lake.
Well, last time you did that, raccoons got cookies.
I was going to stay for several days, but then I said, well, I can't because I have Tuesdays on Dom's show I have to do. And that's going to break the contract. And I need the $4,000 per week I get for my appearances. And so here I am.
You need the stipend there. Yeah.
I need my stipend.
Well,
I just about got so here's my drive over. Okay. All right. So I'm going on, would it be 2nd Street?
You didn't have any more bicyclists, did you?
Oh, God. Don't get me started. I'm on 2nd Street by, is it Ben Franklin School that's along there? Yeah. There's no stop sign for me, but on the cross street, there is a stop sign.
Nope.
You know, the guy decided to not stop. He just went right through the old stop sign. So if I have a mark here in my forehead, it's from me slamming the brake on and hitting it on the steering wheel as the guy just did not even begin to stop.
A stop
And it didn't even, like, you can see people in their car. He didn't even, like, look. He just yeah. I mean, just never, like, oh, gosh, whoa, I missed, because it happens. Sometimes you just kind of get lost in the twilight zone, and oh, gosh, I went through a stop sign. Oopsie. Nope, he just blew right through it. He had no idea that I was in the world, that there was anybody else was in the world. And then to top it off, I was running late because I've came back from the woods to a schedule full of 900 things this morning. I've already sent 300 text messages this morning. So that's where my life is one day back from vacation. From a very short vacation.
I was going to say, you can't take any vacation.
So after I just about get T-boned by the oblivious driver, then I get behind somebody who's driving what?
Like me? Like 8 miles an hour?
Yep. So I'm on his bumper, 3 inches behind it. So if somebody out there is watching this, if they've got to their destination, it's unlikely they've got to their destination by now. No matter where it is, it's unlikely they're there.
Oh, no.
But if there was somebody behind you doing this the whole time, like this, and then also flipping one finger.
Double bird action? Oh, wow.
Like this, and I need to get to Dom's show.
Yes. Well, we appreciate your hustle to get here.
Yep.
So
that's where I'm at mentally, so fire away, buddy.
Let's rock and roll then. We have not been able to independently confirm on Grant Nelson yet. There are reports out there that this is a done deal. I think from both you and I, for the reporting we've done on this, it's not done. It's potentially imminent, I think is maybe the best way to phrase it.
The word I got was likely. It's likely to happen, but it is not a done deal yet.
What do we make of this? Are you surprised it's Alabama and not Arkansas?
Yes.
I was too.
I am. I thought it was going to be Arkansas based on Musselman and based on I just got the vibe that Arkansas was in it more than Alabama. However, if you go back and look at my tweets from several weeks ago, somebody asked me where I thought he was going to land if he did not stay in the NBA. Yeah. And I put out 2 schools, Alabama and Arkansas.
Yep.
And the reason I did that, I can say it now, is that when I was talking to Grant in Chicago for the Combine, I asked him in the Uber ride back across town that took 45 minutes, which was fantastic. I asked him if he had some schools in mind just in case he dropped out of the draft.
Yeah.
And he said, well, again, first of all, I think I'm going to be drafted.
In the draft, yep.
But he goes, I haven't even thought about it. I've left that to somebody else to handle that side of things. But he said, if you look at the way that these schools play and their style, he said, Alabama and Arkansas are 2 that would, just off the top of my head, I haven't looked at anything. I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't visited, obviously. Just 2 that stick out off the top of my head in 2 seconds would be Arkansas and Alabama. So his 2 finalists, as it turned out, two of the 3, I guess, were Arkansas and Alabama.
Now, we did a little of the bio of Alabama off the top of the show. They won 30-some-odd games last season, clearly had things derail with what happened off the floor, which cannot be, and I'm not going to minimize that.
You can't gloss over that. No, it was a train wreck in Tuscaloosa last year with the basketball team. And the head coach, by the way, Nate Oates, didn't exactly handle it with a plum.
That was a train wreck of how he handled it. It's like, every time he made it worse, I think. Every time he spoke, it made it worse.
Yeah, it was not good at all. And that was bad. And you can't minimize the fact that one of his players shot and killed somebody. I mean, you just can't. No. There's no way to say, oh, well, back to the court.
No.
Oh, well,
and that's what he tried to do every time.
Yep. It just was awful.
And his best player was there.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, who's going to get drafted?
Continued to play and there
was no repercussions
wouldn't take questions, and it was just a disaster.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if that's going to linger. It's probably going to be there as long as there's a trial. That's not going to go away, right?
Yeah, but it's to me an athletic program like Alabama, despite the fact that it's under a microscope as much as a college athletic program can be under a microscope. I think that it's run so much like a professional organization that I think there's a layer of insulation there. it would be like if somebody on the Timberwolves got a DUI or whatever. I'm not equating murder with DUI, but just if there was some off the court legalities happening, I think that there's the team and the coaching staff are insulated enough, even with a spotlight on them, that they just go about their business. That's how I view it from the outside. I don't know that that's the case, but we're not talking Summit League school here.
No,
we are talking.
No, this is top of the line here.
Quasi-professional, if not professional sports franchise. Right. I mean, there's my guess again, having not been there, my guess is that the Alabama Athletic Department and the University of Alabama are probably two separate entities. Pretty much.
They're not in the same. They're not in the same stratosphere.
And whatever you think of that as a sports fan, as an academic,
as an academic,
as a human,
right?
I don't agree with it. Nope. But I mean, that's the reality of SEC athletics, especially at Alabama.
Simple question: how much money do you think he's going to get here?
That's a good question. I would think ballpark. 200,000, 300,000.
So definitely six figures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And that might be what the
selling point was.
Well, no, that might be what the details are right now. That it's not a complete.
Why it's not done yet?
I don't know that. Totally. Again, I'm just totally throwing stuff against the wall, having come out of the teepee in the woods, having smoked peyote for the last couple of days to relax. I did not do that. That'd just be my guess.
Yeah.
But again, getting back to the business of college athletics. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Oh, no.
And I'm not knocking Grant Nelson.
That's definitely not how this was supposed to go.
That's the world in which he has entered.
Yep.
And that's the rules. And teams are always, and everybody in life is going to find the way to take advantage of the rules as they're written. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
It's not in the spirit of what it was meant to be, but is anything in college athletics in the spirit of what they were meant to be these days? Other than maybe, the MIAC or something is in the spirit of what college athletics is supposed to be. But it was supposed to be Grant Nelson or other player goes to a school, establishes relationship,
performs,
and then gets an endorsement deal. By the way, I saw a Grant Nelson commercial on TV last night for a real estate firm during the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Hooray for the Nuggets! By the way, congratulations to them. That's my wife did not want the Miami Heat to win.
Miami Heat to win.
No.
I knew that.
Yep.
No,
and she did. And my wife, being the sports connoisseur she is, she said, "Funny how Jimmy Butler scored like 40 points a game against the Celtics, and now he can't do bleep against the Nuggets." Funny how that works, isn't it?
Boy, hard edge there.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea how much the hard edge from Michelle McFeely exists.
But to your point on the NIL deal, and that's exactly. When the NCAA said, we don't know anything about it, this is what ended up happening. And now it's come home to roost at North Dakota State's front door with its best basketball player.
What a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, when history is written.
Oh, that won't be kind on that one.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Who was the president of the NCAA?
Mark Emmert.
I mean, when the history of, whenever Mark Emmert leaves us, leaves this world, the stories, his obituary is going to be the man
he made his school presidents a ton of money. That will be in there too.
It will be. Yeah,
that's all that matters, right?
Well, to them, yes, but I think to your average sports fan, I think that if you look at college athletics 5 years ago and you look at them now, I think despite the fact that I have no problem again with athletes making money or being able to move around a little bit. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Stop whining, coaches. I'm still hearing it from coaches about. It's like, shut up, adjust.
Figure it out.
It's the new world.
Yep.
It sucks, but figure it out.
Yep.
When that obituary of Mark Emmert's written, it's going to be the man who did more to, just ruin college athletics. Yeah. Maybe it was inevitable. Maybe it wasn't. The train wasn't going to stop.
They fought that for a long time.
But when you think that you can just keep stonewalling and stonewalling and stonewalling, and then, oh, by the way, give us $5 billion. No, athletes, you cannot. Nothing. Zero. You can't move. You can't make money. No, stop. $5 million, $5 billion. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Right. What we've got.
Right.
Where we're at right now.
Yes.
Let's take a break.
Connor Vanover, sorry to interrupt you. He's at Missouri now?
Mizzou he went to,
So he's on his fourth college?
Correct. Yep.
Which is, again,
perfectly within the rules, especially with the extra year of eligibility granted.
Right, and that's part of it.
Yep.
But again, is that what people wanted? Did they want a kid to be able to say after a year, you know what, I just don't feel comfortable here. The coach left. I don't fit in. I'm homesick. Whatever thoughts that college kids have, leave. But did they say, okay, go to your fourth school in 4 years to...
We had a story because 2 years ago when the Bison were playing Denver, Denver had a men's basketball player who literally was in school 4 years, was on his fourth separate school.
Yep.
That's not what the rule intended there.
Well, I forgot. I believe one of these rainy days this a couple weeks ago had nothing to do... I popped in the Incarnate Word game or called it up on my DVR. Yeah. I forgot Lindsey Scott played college football for 7 years.
7 years. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And for like 5 different schools.
Yes. He had moved around.
Oh my goodness gracious.
God, he was good. He's good.
He was good.
Really good. Turned the ball over too much.
Bison defense got better after the first quarter. Yeah.
In that game. Let's take a break. Speaking of football, the Big Ten connoisseur that you are, I'm interested when you saw the new flex rivals for the Big Ten in football.
And good to know you, little brown jug.
We'll discuss that. We wrap up hour one right after this.
I'll bet joining Medicare probably isn't on your bucket list. Riding in a balloon, traveling the world, learning the tango, something more like that, right? But now that you need to choose a Medicare plan, even though it might not be exciting, it sure is important. That's why I chose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. Blue Cross is nonprofit, so instead of making shareholders wealthy, they focus on making you and me healthy. You should call or go online to get this free step-by-step guide to Medicare. It can help you understand your Medicare benefits and how Blue Cross gives you more value for your money. 96% of doctors and hospitals in Minnesota are in the Blue Cross network. So just about anywhere you go, you're covered. And just like me, almost half of Minnesota seniors have a Blue Cross Medicare plan. Maybe you're interested in a plan that combines medical and prescription coverage. Well, here's how Blue Cross has you covered there as well.
Blue Cross offers Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage, $0 primary care doctor visits, and many other benefits. Some plans start at a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, select plans include $0 copays on insulin and preferred generic medications. Blue Cross Medicare Advantage plans also provide extra perks at no extra cost. From dental, hearing, and vision benefits to Silver Sneakers fitness memberships and even benefits for over-the-counter medications. To learn more about why Blue Cross is the best choice, call or go online now for your free copy of this informative step-by-step guide to Medicare. There's absolutely no obligation.
Blue Cross has been offering Medicare plans since 1965, when Medicare first started. They're all about keeping folks like you and me healthy, so we can keep doing things we like, or tackle things from our bucket list.
Call or go online now. You and Blue, better together.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help? As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job, for the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
There are places, people, and conditions in this world that almost seem beyond hope. But not when Mercy Ships is there. Mercy Ships is a place restoring sight to the blind, normalcy to the deformed, beauty and happiness to the outcast, and joy to the brokenhearted.
And many times you can almost see the life coming back into them.
can't beat that.
Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, staffed with some of the most skilled volunteer medical professionals and crew. Mercy Ships is the reason why hope is now in sight for those who need it most. To learn more, go to mercyships.org today.
Email comes in and the Grant Nelson follow-up. Do we know under what circumstances, behavior, grades, etc., a player loses the NIL money, or is it up to the whims of the booster? That's almost, well, we know the story that came out of Florida. Remember last football season, the high school player that was going to go and then opted not to because his NIL money was different at another school and then wanted to get out. He had signed at Florida.
I think pretty much, my guess, there would have to be a contract signed, though. I mean, you're not gonna exchange. I'm not gonna exchange any money at my low level of life. I'm not gonna exchange any money with anybody without a contract.
Written document. Yeah.
And so I imagine if you're talking $300,000, $350,000, $400,000,
that's kind of sums of money.
That was a good thing about the old days was you just hand over an envelope with $10,000 in it at SMU.
Or Eric Dickerson gets a Trans Am showing up.
You just drive up a Trans Am and you just hand the keys over. That was the good thing about the old days was there was no contracts, so there was plausible deniability. Now it's legal cheating, so you can just have a contract.
I wanted to talk to you quick. The Big Ten announced late last week its future football schedules. With they have 9 games in this future flex protected scheduling. Minnesota has games protected with Wisconsin and Iowa, which you'd expect.
Makes sense, yeah.
I thought maybe Nebraska would be in there, considering of regionality there. But you tweeted out, and I thought aptly so, that Michigan was not on there for the Gophers.
But, I think that's one of those
Maybe it's a good thing for Minnesota, by the way.
When's the last time the Gophers have won the Little Brown Jug? 1977 or something? It's something like that. It's just crazy. But it is one of the most storied pieces of hardware that gets exchanged. Well, it doesn't ever get exchanged. That stays in.
Neither does Floyd, by the way. Floyd hasn't gone north in a long time.
So the pig and the jug pretty much stay in Ann Arbor and Iowa City. But it is a historic rivalry that goes back more than 100 years.
1892 was the first time they played.
Wow, so 130.
The Gophs won that one, 14-6.
Good.
By the way, the last time they won it was 2014. I did not remember that.
No,
2014.
I don't either. Who's even coaching?
That would be, I believe, Tracy Claeys, if I remember right. I think that's when he filled in for Jerry.
I don't remember that one. That one fell by the wayside in my memory hole. But I guess it. But that's the issue with these national conferences is exactly that, though. Is that the Gophers in Michigan, whatever you think of the non-rivalry, they've played since 1892.
Yes.
Pretty much every year. Although, again, with the additions of Penn State, Maryland, and Rutgers.
And Nebraska.
That has not been the case. But you just sort of lose those.
And soon to be UCLA and USC.
Right. You lose those. The Gophers will play UCLA instead of playing Michigan.
They're going to the Rose Bowl next year. So now you can go.
That's one way of getting there, isn't it? That's the only way they're getting there, especially without the divisions.
Right. Now, my God. Yeah.
The Gophers they're hosed. They're
that game was in Ann Arbor, by the way, in 2014. I have no recollection of that whatsoever.
Nope.
Who scored in this game?
No, that was the first year Carson Wentz took over at quarterback. Yes. So we were busy covering NDSU. We were in
that. Let's see who Max Williams was playing. Okay, so the tight end there. God, they killed Michigan. That was when Rich Rod was still coaching Michigan, right? Okay, so they were, or maybe Harbaugh was there. I don't know.
Not good.
But the interesting part to me, like you mentioned, Penn State. Penn State doesn't have one rival protected, which they've been in the league for 30 years. I find it hilarious that Penn State doesn't have one rival in the Big Ten.
No, but Penn State's a brand on its own, right? They're not Notre Dame, but they're in that same discussion where it's everybody. Whoever Penn State plays, it's going to be a huge game, even though there's not a historic rivalry there. Yeah. Who's Maryland's rival?
Rutgers.
who's Rutgers. I mean, they'll never have a rival.
Well,
they're like Youngstown State in the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
But that's why the teams in the East Division are going, finally, no more divisions. Because Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, they had no chance because they had to play Penn State, Michigan State every year.
Yeah, no, right. That's right. And the Gophers were avoiding those teams, and they still couldn't win the West. Last year was the year that Fleck had the chance to finally sneak through and get to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game, and he just couldn't do it. No. So now they're stuck in. And Fleck is doing fine. They're a competitive Big Ten program.
They got 4 recruits this past weekend.
Yeah, and Fleck is doing fine. But it's the chances of the Gophers ever going, winning the Big Ten, they're gone.
They're gone now with this format, right? Yep. With it being 1 versus 2.
I mean, you never say never, but I mean they haven't won the Big Ten in what?
Before my lifetime,
1962 or something. So why? If you add in UCLA, USC, Penn State, I mean, that's just 2 more USC and UCLA are just 2 more programs that just leapfrogged the Gophers.
Right.
Even though they're not, haven't been what they've been historically lately, they're still better than the Gophers program. So it's just a tough spot for the Gophers to be in. But that's the reality of college football.
Right. That's where they're at now.
So.
Although
it's like when the Bison get in the Mountain West. Who's going to be their rival? Wyoming?
No. Hawaii.
Every year.
Let's go.
Call the Mountain West commissioner. Can you make, hi, this is Don Rizzo from Glendon? Can you make the Bison and Hawaii protected rival? Thank you.
North Dakota State, Hawaii, protected rival, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Click. UNLV. How about that? Can we make that one?
Yeah, it'd be okay, too.
It'd be all right?
Yep.
Vegas?
Yep.
Nothing happening there.
There'd be a lot of OKs in the Mountain West.
Oh, well, as opposed to, Murray, Kentucky.
Murray, Kentucky.
That's our new one we're going to pick on, right?
Yes.
With Macomb out of the mix. It's
absolutely.
It's all on Murray now.
Yep.
And we don't even go there till 24.
The wrath of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. If anybody even covers the Missouri Valley Football Conference outside of Fargo and Grand Forks and Brookings anymore.
Sioux Falls does, a little bit.
Yep.
So thanks for coming by. You can go back to the woods now if you need to.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
I have too much stuff going on, sadly. Now, by the way, one last thing. When you have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
No, you have 1 dog.
I have one.
When you have 2 dogs, what you find out is that every article of clothing you wear ends up with something in its pockets.
Yeah, I invariably, yes.
Yep. And so
I find dog food every day, like little treats.
No, I was going to say, everywhere I go, I'll go to the grocery store and reach to get my wallet, and I bring out a bag.
That too.
Because every article of clothing I have, dress pants, jeans, shorts. I picked up a golf jacket the other day, one of those windy days. It was chilly out. Pick up a golf jacket I hadn't worn for a year. Get to the golf course, and reach in the pocket.
There you go. Yep.
Poop bag.
I invariably.
Every piece of clothing I have has a poop bag in it.
I can guarantee you at least 3 of my coats has one in there right now.
Yep.
I guarantee it right now.
Embarrassing. Walk up to the till at Hornbacher's and reach in. Hey.
Thanks for coming by. It's great to see you. Mike McFeely joining us here on his usual Tuesday time slot. We'll take a break. We come back. You'll meet one of the fastest men in Moorhead High School history. Michael Haugo will join us about his record-setting career with the Spuds and then off to college in Summit League track. We'll do that when we start hour 2 right after this.
Let's play it.
Let's play the game!
The host with the most who always makes us laugh, Alfonso Rivera.
It was truly one of those moments where you're like, oh, snap!
And
look at that, 2 pieces. Oh, it fell out.
While America's coolest chef, Carla Hall, soups up a Southern supper,
I know!
Rach is doubling down on double cheeseburgers.
That is a burger!
Mixed Rachel.
Weekdays at 3 on WDAY.
On the next Tamron Hall, they are the 2 biggest movies of the summer, from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Transformers Rise of the Beast. Actress Luna Lauren Velez joins the Tam Fam to talk about her big success. Then there seems to be no limit to Fortune Feimster's career, from crashing on a couch to headlining 2 major Netflix comedy specials and now an action star.
That was on me.
All on the next Tamron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m.
Before choosing someone to help with your Social Security disability claim, ask if the firm is from the Red River Valley. Ask if your case will be handled by an attorney. Ask if you will meet your attorney before your hearing with a judge.
Or just ask for the Schneider Law Firm. From disability to workers' comp and personal injury, for us, it's about results for you.
Call 877-740-2525, the Schneider Law Firm. There's no fee unless you win.
Don't miss the Feed My Starving Children Fargo Pack in January 2024 at the Fargo Dome. With the goal of packing 10 million meals in just 10 days, this is the largest FMSC event ever held. They're looking for 55,000 volunteers to help make this happen. By giving just 2 hours of your time, you can help feed kids in need. But to make this event possible, they need your help raising the $3.3 million necessary to pay for food and facility expenses. Visit fargopack.org to donate or learn about corporate sponsorship opportunities.
Send your weather-related photos or video to the WDAY Storm Tracker team. Contact weather@wday.com or share them with us on Facebook and Instagram. Keeping an eye on the sky. The WDAY Storm Tracker team.
I'm Tyne Morgan, host of U.S. Farm Report. Join me right here each weekend as we explore the news and issues that matter most to agriculture. We know each year farmers and ranchers are thrown challenges, but as agriculture continues to adapt, we are right there with you. From markets to weather, we take a deep dive into what matters most to agriculture and rural America.
Saturdays at 6 a.m.
Got lots of money over here.
I want to go for it.
So do I. Let's do it.
They have decided to go for it.
You bet your life.
Give me the money. More money. $5,000.
Weekdays at 3:30 p.m.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is going to be Addie's room.
I am blind.
You're really going to like it. I hope so. Yeah.
I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
The way it's down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know this road is there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really free, take me down to the river and wash me. Oh.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike continues on a Tuesday morning. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, Inforum.com. We'll visit with Parker Metz, Fargo North-South girls hockey coach, coming up about the recombination, I guess if that's the word, of the state hockey tournaments coming up in about a half hour. We got one of the best athletes around our area here in studio, fresh off a record-setting weekend for the Moorhead Spuds. Michael Haugo joins us here in studio. Congratulations. Thanks for making some time.
No problem.
How you been?
Been good.
Yeah. Tell me about this weekend. Final state track meet. Go out and set a couple of records. Describe the, I guess, anticipation of it, and then to go and do it is a whole other thing.
Yeah, there was like a lot of anticipation because in sections I was like over the record like multiple times. I just couldn't hit the board. I scratched. I was behind the board. So I knew it was going to happen. I was just waiting for the final.
School record 23.5 feet. Yeah. That is crazy. So and that was on your second attempt.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know when you launched, I got a big one here?
Yeah. Well, my first one was farther. It would have been farther than that, but I scratched.
You scratched on it.
Yeah. I was hoping for over 24 because I had hit that a couple times. Just like I didn't hit the board. But yeah, I knew it was gonna happen eventually. I just had to hit the board.
So when you're in the air, is that when you know, or is it not? So you come down in the sand.
It's like right when I pop off the board, I'll know.
So when you look over, and can you tell right away? Is the readout right away when you look over what you got, or you have to wait a little bit?
Nah, they were doing like the actual tape measure.
No
thing,
kidding.
So you had to wait,
Wow.
but I knew it was over.
You knew it a big one.
I knew it was over that. Yeah.
Tell me that when you saw what it actually was, what the emotion was like when you saw the.
I didn't really have too much emotion because I was still like competing. Somebody had a farther jump than me still, so I was trying to go back and beat that.
About track, was this always a passion of yours? I know you've done every sport out there. When did track become that I really, really love this?
I don't know. I just began to like really like racing people, like competing like one-on-one against somebody, just racing somebody. And then I started jumping too, and I really liked that. So I just liked everything about it.
And then it became just I'm gonna do this. Like when did you get a sense like, hey, I can do this beyond high school?
Probably like my 8th grade year when I started running with the high school. We went to state in the 4x2. I'd say like after that, like when I started training in the summer, I got like a lot faster, a lot stronger. So that's kind of when I knew I wanted to do it past then.
But you literally have done pretty much every sport. I mean, tell me, was there one that was more of a favorite, one that you liked, or was it just in that particular season, this is my favorite sport?
That's what it was like when I was younger.
Yeah.
But once I got into high school, it was always track. I always liked track more.
Because people will see, and we just showed a highlight from football that you were making catches all over the place. And I had people ask me, is the Haugo kid going to play football? We know his cousin's playing football. Was that ever a reality, or did you ever entertain that thought?
I kept it open, like just in case I would have changed my mind. But I was always track for me.
How much do you think one helped the other? That football helped you in track and track helped you in football? Where did that illustrate itself?
I'd say they all work off of each other. I think basketball, honestly, probably like helps the most because I mean it works on like your hand-eye, and then you're jumping and running and that. So like that helped me out a lot.
Plus the football part, you don't get tackled. You don't want, you don't have to worry about that anymore, right? Describe when NDSU came into the mix, because for people who don't know, you're going to go to school there and compete in track. What I know you knew about them, obviously being in the area, but what about NDSU is like, this is where I'd like to go and compete in track and field?
I mean, it's close to home, obviously.
Yep.
I would say it just felt better than all my other visits.
Yep.
Like it just felt more comfortable. Even though it's like closer to home, obviously that helps, but in general it was just closer.
With them being as outrageously good in track as they are, how much of a selling point obviously was that?
I mean, yeah, if I was obviously going to go anywhere in the Summit League, I'm going to go to NDSU. They're the best. So, yeah, it was a good selling point.
I mean, we just had Jacob Rodin on the show last week from Kenmare, who's going and competing in the NCAA 800 meters.
Yeah.
I mean, for a kid like you see that, like, well, you know what? If he can do that, I have to imagine that's something you were thinking, well, this is something I can do, right?
Yeah.
How much is that an inspiration when you see a kid like that and say, you know what? I can do this too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good inspiration. Yeah.
We had your cousin Peter in here a couple months ago before he made his commitment to NDSU, and we were asking about, okay, who's the better athlete in the family? Have you guys discussed that? Is that a topic of conversation?
Nah, not really, because we're like both different sports, and we're both like we play different. It's like different.
Did he do any track, or does he still do any?
He does some track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was he as a track athlete?
He's not bad.
Because I asked him what you were like as a football player. He said he's pretty good. So I wanted to ask
he's fast.
How neat is it both of you guys are going to be at NDSU next year? Or 1 year, he'll be here in 2 years. Describe that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I didn't even know he was going to commit that early. It just happened. I was like, that's cool.
So both of you guys are going to be there. That's a neat deal. About Moorhead track, because it's been fascinating for me to follow, especially for your career, that you guys have, I think, increased your either point total or just your finishes over the last few years. Describe that of going down to the state meet and saying, you know what, we're going to represent, and we're going to represent really well.
I mean, I think my sophomore year really kicked that off. We kind of went down there. We just got a taste of it because, like, I don't think we really had any seniors like running with us. So it was just like me as a sophomore, and then a lot of junior teammates that year, and we got a taste of it. We got really hungry we wanted to win a state title in the relays. So then we came back down. We were the top seed in both the relays, I think. And then we just had some injuries that kind of set us back in the state meet last year. So we didn't end up winning in either the 4x1 or 4x2. But, yeah, I kind of set, like, a standard. Like, we were going to place high, get there every year.
How has it been knowing with the school being under construction, dealing with that as well, where it's not a typical training area right now? How tough has that been?
It's pretty tough, especially on the jump side, because I don't have jumping pits.
So where you been doing it?
We'll go over to South like once every like 2 weeks, but I mean, I don't really practice.
I was going to say, can you practice?
Not really, no.
How do you get?
Just go out there and jump.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, so because you can't go in the backyard and train or something like that, or in the parking lot at school, right? I mean, that's the what I guess is the sky really the limit? Forgive the pun. With you actually getting training on that, it's like, okay, I can jump even further if I'm working on this every day.
Yeah, I think I can I think I have a high ceiling. You know, I've never trained in general. I haven't really trained for track because I have 3 sports to play. So I'm really just training for whatever sport I'm in season.
How much, though, do you think that helped, though, doing other sports and not just focusing on one that helped you become a better all-around athlete?
I think, it helps a lot. It helps. I don't think I would have been able to just do, one sport, 2 sports, just because, the competitive drive.
Do you get a sense that being a Moorhead athlete, when you have a chance to go compete in the Twin Cities, any other sport, whether it's football, basketball, track, there's just an inherent, they're, outstaters, we know they're good, but they're probably good in hockey. Did you really feel that? Did you ever run into that in any of those sports?
I've been competing down there since I was young, so it's not it was just kind of normal for me to compete against those guys.
Okay, the Captain Obvious question: when was the first time you could dunk? And have you dunked on your dad? That's a more important question.
Nah, I don't think I've ever dunked on him. Obviously, I could. I think I started dunking the summer going into my freshman year.
Okay, holy cow! What was that react when you did it for the first time? How did that go?
I had been just trying over and over and over, so I knew I was going to get it.
Was basketball ever anything you wanted to pursue, or not?
It wasn't ever something I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
I only play it when I'm in basketball season.
Yeah.
When I go to practice.
So now is it truly an off season now as you get ready for college, or what's the next couple months hold before you get ready for school?
I'd say it's just an off season. I'm training still, lifting, and then just going to the lake and enjoying myself before college.
So I ask wrestlers this all the time. So I'll ask you as a track athlete, because you obviously have a regimen. Did you gorge yourself on any food after on Saturday night? Did you say treat yourself, or will you?
Nah, I don't. Not really. I'm not super into sweets and all that type of stuff. So.
True athlete, man. I am very jealous of you. But maybe that's coming.
Yeah, once I'm done in college, once I'm done.
Is there a favorite event you have? Is there one you say, you know what, this is the one, this is my, is it the long jump? Is there one that you really enjoy more than any?
I'd say not really. I like all of them. I like long jump just because it's different, something different. And then I like the 200. That's my favorite open event for myself.
Is there an event you haven't tried that you'd like to say, you know what, this, I would just, without training, like you do in the long jump, let me see what I can do in this?
Not really. I feel like I've tried a lot of events.
Which one did you try? I'm never doing that one again.
400.
What happened?
I just died. It's just too tiring. I can't do it.
Is the 400 or the 800 tougher, in your opinion? Because I was asking Jacob about this. I thought the 800 is tough. Is the 400 harder than that?
I couldn't tell you. I've never ran an 800. I just know the 400 is hard.
Have you ever tried any other field events?
I've done triple jump.
Okay.
I'm guessing I'll do that some in college.
See, that one is between that and the steeplechase seems like it's the most awkward event out there.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard on your legs.
Yeah. Because it's all timing as well, right?
Yeah. And I broke my foot during basketball season this year, so I decided not to do that because it's bounding on your legs on the track. So I was just decided to wait.
When that happened, how was it scary? Was it you knew right away and oh, am I done with track?
Nah, I didn't even know I broke it. I fractured. I don't know what it was. Something on the top of my foot.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. It was just painful. and I just kept playing because I didn't think there was anything wrong. Yeah, and then I like saw the trainer, and they thought it was like a stress reaction, so like it was like close to being a stress fracture. But then I saw a doctor like after I had already came back. He said, "Yeah, you fractured it." So
was there any worry in your mind that I might not be able to do track in my senior year?
Well, I came back like halfway through the season still. I missed a good amount, but I knew I'd be back. I'd be fine.
Is there a field event that you'd like the discus, javelin, shot? You ever try any of those, hammer throw? You ever do any of those?
I don't think I could be able to do any of those.
Those are the ones I'm fascinated by the people that do those. Those are the ones between that and the triple jump. I'm like, I don't know how people do those. Those are just wild. I really appreciate you coming by, man. Congratulations on the record holder. Awesome career at Moorhead, and we're looking forward to following you at NDSU next year, all right? Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Michael Haugo, record holder from Moorhead High, joining us here in studio. We'll take a break. Hot Mic continues after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com.
Dan and Shay with special guest Kip Moore live on July 7th at the Red River Valley Fair on the Titan Machinery stage in the all-finished concrete grandstand. It's the 10 best days of summer. Tickets on sale now at redrivervalleyfair.com.
Now is your chance to win a WDAY Storm Tracker rain gauge, and you can take one home for free. Send your pictures to weather@wday.com. Tune to WDAY News for your chance to win, and we'll choose one lucky winner during every newscast Sunday through Saturday next week. Don't miss your chance to take one home for free. Track your weather with the WDAY Storm Tracker rain gauge.
If you're driven by an adventurous heart, you're in luck. The thoughtfully redesigned 2023 Subaru Outback shares your spirit. With standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, plus up to 32 miles per gallon. A 260 horsepower turbocharged engine, advanced technology, and an extra-large touchscreen. The 2023 Subaru Outback. Go where love takes you.
It's Outback Days, going on now at Muscatel Subaru.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real-world experience.
It's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe, it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
I've been doing this for a long time. Somebody has to stand up for victims.
Detective Stabler, my partner, Detective Benson.
The world is changing. It took a lot of courage to get up on that stand. There's no stigma in coming forward. Please help me stop him.
He's not gonna ever be able to hurt you again.
I promise you, I'll protect you. I'm not gonna stop until we find this guy.
Weekdays at 12 p.m.
Thanks for buying a fishing license.
What the?
I know, but listen. I want you to picture all the great things this simple purchase does. Like building public boat ramps, keeping local waters clean so families can fish and swim, and maintaining a healthy fish population.
What's Mom doing?
It also provides fishing education and activities for the kids, and funds long-term plans to protect our lakes and streams.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Did he?
When you buy a fishing license, you do a lot, because every dollar from a license purchase protects and maintains your local waterways for future generations to enjoy. Learn more at takemefishing.org.
Third Eye Blind, live on July 8th at the Red River Valley Fair on the Titan Machinery stage in the all-finished concrete grandstand. It's the 10 best days of summer. Tickets on sale now at redrivervalleyfair.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on Tuesday morning. Our thanks to Michael Haugo for coming by in studio. One of the great local athletes in our area. It'll be fun to watch him at the next level. Beautiful day outside. Excited for that as we've got state tournaments continuing for the final week in Minnesota. We've got golf, lacrosse, and baseball all going starting today. Minnesota State Baseball Tournament getting underway today all around the state. The Class A tournament being played in St. Cloud. Representing in Class A, Boston is back. Greyhounds, who are there for the second time in 3 years. They went the hard way. They had to go through the losers out bracket and beat Sacred Heart twice to get there. We remember those are the two rivals in Section 8A. Boston lost to Sacred Heart in the basketball championship game to send the Eagles to state. The Greyhounds are back. They're facing Legacy Christian Academy coming up later tonight at 6 o'clock. They win that. They play tomorrow in the semifinals. Again, a reminder that the championship games for baseball are at CHS Field coming up on Friday. In the Double-A, which is also in St. Cloud, Perham is back. They'll play Foley coming up this afternoon at 12:30 is that game there. I believe those are the only local teams that we have still playing. We don't have anybody left in 3A or 4A in baseball. In lacrosse, that tournament begins today. The Spuds back for the third year in a row. They play tonight in Stillwater against Benilde St. Margaret's. The Spuds, as I mentioned, third year in a row for boys lacrosse, making it to the state tournament. We talked about it briefly yesterday. Remarkable considering they've only had lacrosse there for 5 years and been to state 3 out of the 5. And one of the years they didn't play because of COVID. Benilde is the number 1 seed. This will be a large task for them. That's coming up tonight at 5 o'clock. And, of course, WDAY Sports will have you covered there with highlights of all those games. And, again, the world isn't ending. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but for North Dakota sports fans, they should know this. The world isn't ending because we're having high school athletics in the, what is it now? We're in the third week of June. All right? I understand things are going to get done. The lacrosse championship is on Saturday, the 17th. That's not too late. It isn't. Baseball's going to finish on the 16th. That's not too late. All of those teams will still have Legion seasons, right? You can still play Legion for 6 weeks. My point is North Dakota could still be going if they wanted to. And I know you could say, well, Minnesota football doesn't start till 2 weeks later. Okay, North Dakota, let's go. They can do the same thing. Minnesota plays its championship game in a dome. North Dakota does the same thing. And actually, to be honest with you, Soblick's going to get mad for me speaking for him here. The dome would probably have more availability over Thanksgiving weekend than it does in the current time frame they play the Dakota Bowl now. Because now they're dealing with Bison football, which traditionally NDSU has not played over Thanksgiving weekend with the bye. That you could do this. Have me sit. You've already listened to me on changing the football classifications. Have me sit in on scheduling. We can do this. We can make everybody happy on this. I swear. Because you look outside. Kyle, can we take one of the tower cam shots? Look outside right now. It's beautiful out. Why are we not playing any state tournament in North Dakota right now? None. But yet we want to play baseball on April 1 when we still have legitimate amount of snow on the ground. We could still be playing baseball now. That's my point. And I know Legion seasons have started and you're messing with that and the whole deal. And that's, I'm ripping off opening a can of worms I probably don't have all the answers to. You're right. There's probably something I'm not thinking about, even though I've asked several people on this, like, what am I missing? And we heard a couple weeks ago that at least the Class B baseball coaches were talking about it, that, a later start to the season may behoove us to play more games. Because the point of this is it's not about me. It's not about television. It's nothing about that. It's about, honestly, in the high school level, it's about the athletes having the best experience. And you cannot, with a straight face, sit there and tell me that any of the spring athletes are having a great experience when their season lasts a month. Because if we were asking football or basketball or hockey to have a 1-month season, we would have committees, meetings. No way. We wouldn't just be throwing our arms up saying, well, it's North Dakota, it's the weather. It's not. That's not fair. If we had a 1-month football season, seriously? Why is it okay for baseball, softball, track, tennis, golf? We asked them to have 1 month when we would never ask that of baseball, basketball, hockey, football. Take baseball out of there. Basketball, hockey, football. We would never ask them to do it. I think we all know the answer. Those are the moneymaker sports, specifically football and basketball. It's the same reason why we have them all on the same weekend, right? I'm answering my own question, but they deserve more than that, in my opinion. And I think I'm not alone on that. We'll take a break. We come back. Speaking of hockey, we talked about it last week. One of the many changes the High School Association made is combining the state hockey tournaments once again. Reigning state champion head coach Parker Metz will join us to discuss that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com.
Next live. Wild crowd. And a wild Wednesday with Conor McGregor from The Ultimate Fighter.
I do get mistaken for a wrestler all the time.
I get mistaken for a Victoria's Secrets model all the time.
Plus, Matthew Broderick from No Hard Feelings.
Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Sorry, I'm out sick again. I just can't shake this fever.
Spread by mosquito bites, West Nile virus is found in nearly every state across the country.
Elena had another asthma attack. She's really sad to miss school again.
Asthma, a leading chronic illness among children and youth in the U.S., can often be triggered by allergens from household pests.
Hi, Chief. I finally got a diagnosis. It's Lyme disease. I'll be out for a few days, maybe longer.
Every year, nearly 300,000 people nationwide are diagnosed with Lyme disease, an illness from tick bites.
Coach, I'm at the hospital. I got stung by something and had a bad allergic reaction. I'm not going to make the game.
Stinging insects send more than 500,000 people to the emergency room every year. Don't let pests force you to take a sick day. Learn how to protect yourself and your family at pestworld.org.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. That surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
This is a murder mystery of epic proportions.
You get this picture of a jealous guy, thinks she's got a lover, and bang, she's dead.
What possessed you to do that?
Could this be a murder for hire?
When you've got something that was this bad,
somebody's got to pay.
Dateline.
Weekdays at 1 p.m.
The end of hunger and poverty starts here. Your gift of an animal from Heifer International can help a family start a small business, creating food and income for education, medicine, and more, all while caring for the earth. At Heifer International, we help small-scale farmers achieve living incomes through economic development and private sector partnerships. We empower communities by creating women's groups, farmers associations, and cooperatives that strengthen social support networks. And we teach sustainable, earth-friendly agriculture that minimizes environmental impact and reduces the carbon footprint. Around the world, and right here at home. Heifer International. Learn more at heifer.org.
Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on a Tuesday morning. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Forum.com. I mentioned off the top, the basketball season ended last night. The hockey season could end tonight in Vegas, of all places. The Golden Knights lead the Panthers 3-1. Game 5 coming up at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I don't know if our next guest wishes he was there. He's in a hockey rink, no surprise. Every summer we could do a new game. Where in the world is Parker Metz? Last year was Buffalo, New York. Where are you today? Where are you coming to us from today?
Campus of Colorado College, Colorado Springs.
All right. That's in a hockey rink, right?
I'm actually in the dorm right now. We just had practice this morning. So they're doing the kids are doing a symposium right now about the path of hockey. And so I took some time away to be on here.
Well, I appreciate the time. How do you feel as a hockey nut that you have a team from Vegas and a team from Miami playing for the Stanley Cup? How's that sit with you?
I think it's incredible. I think it's like these, your quote unquote non-hockey markets are big markets now. Like the event that I'm at right now, we have, it's a multi-district camp. So we have kids from the upper Midwest, Rocky Mountain district that involves Vegas. We got a number of Vegas kids here. You got a bunch of California kids. And so it's, the game's growing and it's growing in a positive direction. So it's super cool to see that. And the kids are jacked here, and we're actually probably going to stream the game in the dorms here somewhere tonight and get, all 200 kids in the camp in one spot to watch the game. So it'll be fun.
Who's winning tonight? Is it end tonight, or the Panthers can pull another one out here? What do you think?
I think if Vegas wins, that town's on raising the I don't know. I don't know what could happen if anything happens in Vegas, but man, they win a Stanley Cup.
Right.
After a few years they've been part of the program, it'd be wild.
How does that? Speaking of the wild, how does that sit with people up here that Vegas would have won a Stanley Cup in 6 years and nothing in Minnesota for the 40 years or whatever, 60 years they've had hockey in the state?
No comment on that one. It's a Minnesota sports fan, I guess. Wait for next year.
But you know what? You point out, though, it's not just the players. They have embraced it. I look at Raleigh. I look in Dallas, which I know will bring up some tough feelings. Nashville, which has been crazy. Miami, Tampa, Vegas. Outside of Phoenix, everywhere has gone crazy over hockey, and it's fun to see.
Yeah, again, just speaking like boots on the ground, I'm in a camp with, you think of like non-traditional hockey markets. We got I'm in camp with kids from Utah and Idaho and, Alaska, Northern California, Southern California, Arizona. It's booming. The numbers are incredible. So New Mexico, it's awesome to see. So the growth is good.
It's great to see again. We're having you on for the decision that came down last week that the boys and girls state hockey tournaments are going to be combined again. First, I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, North-South won the championship in March in Minot. What the experience was like on its own. How different did it feel this past season, being a week later, and then having the tournament to yourselves this past March?
Yeah, I mean, Minot, they rolled out the red carpet for the girls. You know, it was that all-inclusive piece. It was all about them. Anything we needed, you know, Bob Gillen and the staff up there did an incredible job. I felt making that an awesome experience. Obviously, you know, moving back to Fargo and having it with the boys, you know, yes, the contingent of fan base will be probably more prevalent with you know, the teams up I-29 but at the end of the day, it's about the kids' experience. And, you know, if they want, you know, more fan base, then I guess, you know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we're here for the kids, and as long as it's a positive experience for them, we're doing our job.
Did you get a sense that the girls liked it on their own, or would they prefer to be back? I know you haven't really had a chance probably to visit with them, but just from you've coached both and experienced championships at both. Did they prefer one or the other? I know they prefer winning. Did they prefer one or the other?
Yeah. Again, it's, you know, like I bring up, you know, like the what if, you know, what if Davies didn't have the boys and girls team in the finals? You know, would there have been that many kids and fans at that game 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows? You know, it could have been, it very well could have been two other teams from the area, and just happened to be it like the chips fell, I think, the way they did. And it was such an awesome atmosphere 2 years ago. And regardless of it only having, you know, maybe 250 people, maybe at the last year's final, at the end of the day, the girls are playing for a championship, and they're promoting themselves, you know, and, you know, getting the airtime that they deserve. I think that was another piece that maybe played into it too. And I think they deserve to be promoted, and that's our jobs as coaches, is to promote these girls the best we can, whether that's, you know, via, you know, TV time here, or promoting to colleges that, you know, teams are looking for players, and there's good players in North Dakota. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, it just goes to prove that you don't have to leave North Dakota to go to be noticed, because people are noticing kids in the state, in high school hockey, in youth hockey. You know, North Dakota Amateur Hockey has an incredible program that does a pre-postseason. So it's, you know, kids are getting noticed without having to leave. And that's kind of the knock that we're looking at.
I know you are in your own submarine, but when you heard about three-class basketball, did you get a sense like, okay, the calendar may get really tricky now with us having our own weekend and another class of basketball coming into the mix?
Yeah, as far as the scheduling goes, you know, that's just an adaptation that our ADs have to make, you know, because for us to move it this year, you know, we had to move the games on the front end of the back end of the season, and then doing this, we just flip-flop again. So it's everyone being able to, you know, be adaptive and work with, you know, what's thrown at us, and having the third class of basketball does play a big role, a big piece of that. But at the end of the day, like, we're in it for the kids. It's like a 115-day season or 110-day season. And it's, you know, if you're all in, you're going to have success. And if you're, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're going to struggle. But,
and I might sound like I'm shilling for the league here, but at least I love it in Fargo. And the fact with the Farmers Union rink, Parker, that you can go from that rink and then over to the main one and watch and go all day, especially on that Thursday, I think is a great advantage for fans. If we're trying to make it a great experience for both the players and the fans, I'm all on board on that. And if that means having to be combined again, then sign me up on that. I'm all for that.
Yeah, you know, and then I guess my only concern with that is, you know, the girls always, you know, it's the, you know, girls playing on Constellation Ice.
I agree with. See, I agree with that.
You
too.
know,
yep.
You know, that's the only knock I would have on it being at the same venue. But at the end of the day, it's convenient for everybody. So like, and to be quite honest, like I remember quite vividly our quarterfinal game 2 years ago against Minot. The boys game ended and everyone flooded the gates in the Farmers Union, and the place was packed. Like, it's like that atmosphere that they're trying to develop and create. And it's a real thing.
I'd be all for splitting it up, you know, put 2 girls games on the main rink and 2 boys games on the Farmers Union rink on that first day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's at least do some. Can we do that? I think that would be doable, right? I mean, we can bridge. It's 2023. We can do that, you know?
I even say, and this is, you know, it is what it is, but like, I even asked, like, hey, like, do it Wednesday. Like have the quarters, all 8 quarters. Like the girls' quarters on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Give them Thursday off. Then they can enjoy all the boys' games. Just like that, getting more fans in the boys' game. But it's not my decision. But whatever's made is made. And I'm going with it. So.
I'm with you on Wednesday. I've been saying that for basketball for years on that. If we want to, especially in an era now where everything is televised, everything is streamed. If you want to have it where people can watch, then break up the days. Although I think I'm whistling in the wind on that one. And the fact that we could do on Wednesdays on that. I am interested, having another championship. How did this one feel compared to the year prior?
It's always awesome. It's, this year there's a little extra fire in the tank. I think this year, we lost our Shanley girls to Davies, and there's a lot of like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. You're going to be young. It's like, end of the day, like we're going to put the best product we have on the ice, and we're going to support these girls from day 1 to the day 110. And, I think quite honestly, and the girls felt it, like people counted us out because, we lost the Shanley girls, we lost the graduates, we lost Barts to Warroad. Like that's, it is what it is. Like if you look back at it, like we lost less games. We won a state championship. And the girls had an awesome experience for the season. And then that's 3 for 3 stars, like good. Like it was awesome. And like our leadership group last year was probably like one of the, I'd say top 2 leadership groups of kids that I've ever been a part of. I'm going to miss our team captain a lot. Julia Poole is incredible. And just to see her progress from her freshman year to her senior year, and she just kept with it and just kept sticking with the process. And it was super cool to see. So being able to be part of that 2 years in a row, and, it's pretty sweet. And then just icing on top, losing less games and just having that little, it was good. It was good.
I have to ask you, because you experienced what few sports do, where you have your best player transfer and go to another school. How do you have that conversation with your players about that moving forward? Not necessarily about the move, but okay, I'm sure maybe the players knew maybe even before you did. How is that? They don't teach you that when you're going to even now what you're doing on learning about being a better coach. How did you handle that situation?
At the end of the day, it's like you could think about it like when I was with Omaha, like kids come and go and you have to move on. Mm-hmm. And whether it's a transfer, whether it's a trade, in junior hockey, it's you have to look at it as like they're no longer part of the program. We move forward.
Right.
And if you sit and cry and complain about it, like that puts you at a disadvantage, and you have to move forward. And no different than a graduating class. Like again, we have to move forward. We have a great leadership team that we named last year for this upcoming season, and and I have all the faith in the world that they're going to do an incredible job as well. And we have 2 returners. Like it's like they know what to expect. They know the expectations. They know that they're going to be held to a high standard, and they're going to put the Spruans, just keep continuing to keep them on the map and keep moving forward and put a good product on the ice and in the classroom.
All right, before I let you go, I know you're going back overseas for the Holinka tournament. We were talking off air that you get a close-up look at some of the guys that now are going to get drafted here in a couple weeks. We know about Connor Bedard. Is there a guy that we don't know yet that you saw and say, okay, this guy's going to be a stud in a couple years in the NHL?
Let me think here. Musty, he's a good player. He played in the OHL last year. He's really good. Big body. Strathman's a heck of a player. He's coming to UND next year. William Whitelaw, he just won the Clark Cup with Youngstown. They're awesome kids. Hampton Sklinski, from Warroad, great kid. Will Ingeman, he's one of our other goaltenders. Cal Vachon, another goaltender. Like it's a good group. I mean, it's just you get that taste of what could be. It's such a small snapshot. The team's only together for the tournament's 6 days long. And we're together maybe another 10, 14 days before kind of training camp to get to know everybody. So it's such a short snapshot of what could be. And then they're playing against, the other, top IIHF countries in the world. And, with the exception of, Russia, it's really good hockey. And there's a lot of, you look in the stands and every NHL team's there. It's incredible. Like just being a fly on the wall and being in the conversation. Like it's just super cool to be part of.
Okay. So the show has gone to Ireland. We've had it over. We have not gone to Slovakia. So when you're there, can we do this? So we can officially say that Hot Mike was in Slovakia. Does that work with you?
Sure. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Have fun, man, in Colorado. It's great to see you. Have a great summer and safe travels, okay?
Thanks, you too.
Good to see you, bud. Parker Metz, head coach for the Fargo North-South girls hockey team, joining us from Colorado Springs on the news of the state hockey tournament going back to a combined format. Again, when I'm making decisions for the State High School Association, can we do that if we're not going to do Wednesday, which I know that's a brick wall, can we maybe split it up and have 2 girls games on the main and 2 boys games on the main rink? I think could that be palatable? Can we work that in? Send this clip off to Valley City. Hopefully they can see that. We'll take our final break. Come back. An update on the Daniil Hunter mess with the Vikings as they begin minicamp today. And we'll wrap the show right after this on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com.
Now is your chance to win a WDAY Storm Tracker rain gauge, and you can take one home for free. Send your pictures to weather@WDAY.com. Tune to WDAY News for your chance to win, and we'll choose one lucky winner during every newscast Sunday through Saturday next week. Don't miss your chance to take one home for free. Track your weather with the WDAY Storm Tracker rain gauge.
What would you give for a child you loved to make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine.
I'm Naheem Hines, running back for the Indianapolis Colts and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan, and I'm 12 years old. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
For over 70 years, MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
In this job, you take your eye off it for 1 second. People can die.
Go now!
Don't think. Just do it.
We're gonna get her out.
Here we go.
Hey, slow breath.
I'm a firefighter, and I will always be a firefighter. Did a great thing today. It's all because of you.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. and 12:05 a.m.
Overcoming drug addiction was difficult, but I found the path to recovery that worked for me. Treatment helped me come to terms with the issues in my life that caused me to use drugs. And I found better ways to cope. Learning I had a substance use disorder helped me realize I needed to make a change. The road to recovery is different for everyone. There were good days and bad days. But I found strength in seeking help. My friends and family made a huge difference in my recovery. I never gave up. I found my path, and I keep walking it every day. Find the path that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
All right, wrapping up the show here for a Tuesday morning. Busy one. Tomorrow, Dick Bramer will join us from Target Field. The Twins will wrap up their quick 2-game set with the Brewers. Again, explain to me why you play one of the teams that you can fill the stadium in the middle of the week. Apparently, that's the only time they can play. I find that preposterous. But again, Milwaukee and Minnesota playing on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Why can't they play 3 games? Corbin Burns goes for Milwaukee. He's quite good against Pablo Lopez, who, after getting his extension, has not been great for the Twins, coming off the series win in Toronto. Game 1 of that tonight, and then an afternoon, a matinee tomorrow at Target Field. So Dick Bramer will join us from the ballpark tomorrow. As we signed off the air yesterday, the news came in on the Vikings that Danielle Hunter is not reporting to mandatory minicamp. Not thrilled with his current contract situation, which is going to pay him about $5 million a year for the position he plays and the age he's at. He wants to be paid what all the elite defensive ends are paid. This is the 3rd offseason in a row this has gone on. The team has twice reworked his deal, 5 years, $72 million deal that Hunter signed in 2018. He's scheduled to make $5 million this season. By skipping minicamp, Hunter would incur a mandatory fine of $16,500 for missing the first day, $32,000 for missing the second day. The 2021 collective bargaining agreement between the NFL and the PA removed a team's ability to later waive fines for a player who skips mandatory practices. He's passing up the chance to earn a $100,000 workout bonus. That's just crazy. According to the Star Tribune, a source with knowledge of the situation, the team does not expect he will change his position and show up for minicamp, which begins later today and concludes on Wednesday. This is a situation we're going to have to find. If this continues, and I imagine it's going to until we get to training camp, then look out. I wouldn't be surprised if they move him. With the way that they have gone this offseason with jettisoning players that have been here for a bit, whether it be an Adam Thielen or a Dalvin Cook, and moving on, Eric Kendricks, so they moved on. Danielle's a good player, but he has been banged up as well. Prior to last season, 20 and 21, he couldn't play. We'll see. Going to be an interesting storyline there. We may check in on that tomorrow or on Thursday when minicamp wraps up. Let's get you ready for what to watch before we get out of here on this Tuesday. Let's do it. We don't have our video? Well, we have our video. Guess we'll have to wait on the video. Brewers and Twins coming up tonight, 6:30 on Bally Sports North. As we mentioned, Twins trying to continue their good play. WNBA tonight, good game. The Dream and the Liberty on the CBS Sports Network tonight at 7 o'clock. And the Stanley Cup in the house in Vegas. Golden Knights and Panthers, 7 o'clock on TNT. See if Vegas can win the Stanley Cup. Our thanks to Mike McFeely, Michael Haugo, and Parker Metz for joining us. If you missed any of our show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. See you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL, and Inforum.com.
Stay prepared for the days and nights ahead with the best weather team. Download the Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Get alerts and updates straight from the WDAY Storm Tracker team. With accurate weather reports specific to your area. Just search WDAY in the Apple or Google Play Store. Download the Storm Tracker app and be ready to plan your day. The Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Download it today.
On the next Tamron Hall, they are the two biggest movies of the summer, from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Transformers Rise of the Beast. Actress Luna Lauren Velez joins the Tam fam to talk about her big success. Then there seems to be no limit to Fortune Feimster's career, from crashing on a couch to headlining 2 major Netflix comedy specials and now an action star.
That was on me.
All on the next Tamron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Send your weather-related photos or video to the WDAY Storm Tracker team. Contact weather@wday.com or share them with us on Facebook and Instagram. Keeping an eye on the sky. The WDAY Storm Tracker team.
I've been a GH fan my entire life.
I love the Tam fam.
I still think about the time I was at Port Charles. I don't believe it.
But you can believe our shows are on back-to-back.
GH fans and the Tam fam love a good story.
Weekdays at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m.
911, what is your emergency?
Every day we encounter people who are having the worst day of their entire lives. Does it get any easier? Nope.
It takes a certain kind of person to run towards danger rather than run away from it.
Why is this job so important to you?
Growing up, I never saw any heroes who looked like me.
And that's what a hero looks like.
Help is on the way.
Sundays at 8 p.m.
This morning, starting off on a quiet note across parts of the region. Plenty of bluebird sky for the most part, although you may just notice a little haze in the sky due to some wildfire smoke, just making the sky just look a little off from that blue. So we'll have a little bit of that hazy sky sticking around, potentially a little bit more into tomorrow as well. So we could have some of that smoke sliding on in. Warm temperatures, kind of the theme of our midweek forecast before a cold front heads our direction at the end of the work week. I'll time that out for you and walk through the end of this work week's forecast as we head into the weekend. All this coming up on here on News at 11, which starts right now.